Welcome to the SAG-AFTRA Foundation's Conversations at Home featuring Jeff Daniels of the COMEY rule. I'm your moderator, Anthony Breznican of Vanity Fair, and they've asked me to emphasize how critical it is that you know that the SAG-AFTRA Foundation has a COVID-19 relief fund to support member performers who are in urgent need as this pandemic continues. Since March of 2020, the foundation has given over $6 million in aid to 6,500 performers and their families facing extreme hardship. If you are a SAG-AFTRA member and you need help, please ask. And if you are financially sound enough that you can help support the community and this crucial effort, please consider giving. Information can be found in the description of the video. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Jeff Daniels, who plays FBI Director James Comey in the Comey role. Thanks for being with us, Jeff.
Thank you.
So in playing this part, once you have the script in hand, where do you start in shaping this character? You've got a real man. He is with us. There's plenty of footage of him to research. Do you begin with that, or do you start somewhere else?
He wrote a book.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I went first. If only every character we ever played had just written a book about how they felt about this thing that you were about to play, you know, that would be a wonderful convenience. So it was a great cheat sheet, to be honest. I found Jim in the book and also in person to be very revealing, very open, very, well, he'll tell you if he doesn't know, or he's a very clear person. So the book kind of laid out what he was thinking. And that became the whole acting approach was, people hate him, people vilify him. But let's show what he was thinking and what he was up against and how he thought his way through it and why he decided to do what he did. And that was in the book.
Did you read the book, or he narrated the audiobook too? Did you listen to that?
Yeah, I read the book. I was doing To Kill a Mockingbird at the time, and I was about 7 months through the year-long run when Billy Ray came to me. And so I'm pretty sure the book was out by that point. I just grabbed the book and read the book. I didn't really start, the audio book was later. Mm-hmm. After I read the book and read the script again, and then I go to YouTube. Mm-hmm. And then it became about how much of an impression are we going to do here? Mm-hmm. And the voice, there were only a couple of, just how much, and how there aren't a lot of ornaments on Jim Comey's tree.
Yeah.
It's not like playing the Hunchback of Notre Dame or what Gary did so great in Churchill. There ain't a lot to look at. Mm-hmm. As far as that goes. He's very kind of, inside the vest. Mm-hmm. So I kind of went with, you can go Gary Oldman and Churchill, or you can go Jimmy Stewart in The Spirit of St. Louis, where he played Jimmy Stewart. And you kind of just show what he's, and that became the focus then, was we're going to worry less about an impression, and we want you to hear what he's thinking. We want you to read his mind. We want you to think what he's thinking along with him. And that means getting inside. And it was a real kind of, they know it's me, and especially with Comey, because there's so much on YouTube. We know I'm not Comey. We know this is not, I'm not even, so it's like, all right, then I'll just be Jeff Daniels, and that's your window into what Jim Comey is thinking, and Jim Comey's on the inside. And once Billy Ray and I kind of decided that, then it was smooth sailing.
How much did makeup and wardrobe shape your performance? You mentioned, I love that phrase, there's not a lot of ornaments on his tree, but maybe not so much makeup. I don't know, but his wardrobe, I think, would be very significant too. There's a formality to him, right?
With the wardrobe, you're doing 37 versions of an FBI dark blue suit. That was the joke in wardrobe. We did a hair piece where we tried to get my hair a little standing up, and certainly colored it. I put lifts in my shoes. Not that it made me 6'8". It made me 6'5", and I had sore legs for 3 months. And that was kind of it. Vocally, I kind of backed off and just kind of, I got some of his rhythm. Some of his, he would finish sentences on the way up. He'd always go up. So I would, but I wasn't trying to do a dead on, oh my God, it sounded just like Jim Comey. I wasn't going to worry about that so much. There were two things where I sang him. There was the July press conference about where Hillary's emails and the careless recklessness or whatever. I had that on YouTube, so I was able to kind of sing that same melody of inflections without doing a dead on, get the dialect coach in here and let's do, his R's aren't good enough. Just sang him. And then I did the same thing when he appeared at the Senate hearing at the end, where he got emotional, and it really was just like singing a melody.
I remember when I interviewed you for Vanity Fair for the first look of the Comey rule, and I said, you make a perfect Jim Comey, and you said, really, you didn't see it, right? When Billy Ray came to you with this, that you didn't really picture yourself as Jim Comey. Why was that? What did you see as like the difference, or the main difference, or why you thought that was such an unusual casting choice?
I don't know. Other than I just knew I'd have to. This wasn't oh yeah, I could play that. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I'd be. There are some roles like Fly Away Home, the Carol Ballard directed, and I basically I just want you to play yourself. I'm going, oh okay, and it was really kind of a first time. Mm-hmm. And Carol was even better about it. Carol, on the first day of the first take, we did the first take, and he walked up after that take and he said, "Don't act," and turned and walked away. And that was kind of my, oh, okay, all right, yeah, no problem. and it was a great kind of lesson in just being natural and being truthful and playing the emotions of the guy. And Bill Lishman in Fly Away Home was a real creative spirit. And I write songs, I write plays, I have a theater company, I'm an actor, and I thought I was a pretty high level creative spirit. And then I met Bill Lishman, who was the guy I played in Fly Away Home. Mm-hmm. And that guy is out there, was out there. And so that's an easy fit. But James Comey, with that kind of impenetrable, chin up and FBI director in front of the Senate, and
stoicism.
It's kind of stiffer and not kind of what I was kind of, used to post Dumb and Dumber. It was kind of, it was a little, oh, how do I get in there? What's there? What's in there? So it wasn't an automatic, oh yeah, of course, me.
Are you more comfortable with the looser performances? You mentioned Dumb and Dumber. It's a great comedic performance, and you're pretty much like a rubber tube cartoon in that movie, as opposed to.
Well, you gotta be. You're next to Jim. You gotta keep up. Yeah.
As opposed to Jim Comey, who's he's. I think even he would say he's a pretty stiff individual. He's very starched at the very.
Well, still, he was still. Jim was still. And that came. He was a great listener too, and he was a thoughtful listener, and you could pick that up just on like the Colbert Show, which you could also pick up his sense of humor. What made him laugh? What would Colbert say that made him laugh? What did Jim say that was, oh my God, wit? It's just little things like that. You just steal where you can steal, and then use it on occasion, and put it in the file of things you might, go to, and the scene where you're with so and so, that kind of thing. So it becomes this kind of stockpiling of bits and pieces of him. But he, and it really came clear when we did the Trump scene with the loyalty dinner.
Yes,
the stillness.
You've anticipated my next question. Yeah.
Well, but it was he was constantly doing it. I played a part in 5th of July, a play that was written by Lanford Wilson. The first time we did it was off Broadway in 1978, went to Broadway in 80 and did it again in LA and did a TV movie of it. And I remember that I was the lover of the lead guy, and I had to listen most of the show. I didn't say much. I was quiet. I was reserved. It was him and all his friends. And I remember one of the founders of the theater, Tanya Barrison, came up to me or wrote me an opening night note. And she said, "You hear every word that is said in that house." You know, it's I'm not included in their party and what are they getting him to do? And it ended up being a real dramatic thing. But you hear every word they're saying. So it was a great lesson in how to listen. 6 months of doing the show, how to listen. Jim Comey is a great listener. He's sitting around the table with the FBI team, and he genuinely wants their opinion. No. Go ahead. You were going to say something. What was that? And then hear every word of it. It's a great acting tip. I mean, Spencer Tracy, I think, was one of the great listeners. One of the great listeners. And it's in the honesty of the reaction. He really used Kate Hepburn. And that's what listening does, which is the opposite of what they teach you out in Star School.
Oh, really?
Star School is, I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille.
You're ready to react.
You play to the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is the camera can see through that. And it can see that you're false behind that. You're not being honest. You're not really feeling that. You haven't really psychologically convinced yourself that you really are that sick as Frank Griffin needed to be in Godless, right before you put a bullet between his head. You got to think what Frank was thinking. The camera will see that.
Mm-hmm.
And so all that work listening with the 5th of July way back when, and then you drop into Comey, and he listens to their opinions in that way. But then the even different listening, I was telling him this the other day, we were doing the DVD audio track, Jim and me and Billy Ray. And when Trump started talking to him in that loyalty dinner, Jim said it was like 9 fire hoses coming at you all at once, and you're just trying to grab one of them. But it was also, you know, that this is completely inappropriate, what he is doing and why we are here alone together. This is not how it is, but this is already bad going in. Yes. So you listen, and then you realize that you listen now and you try to remember every word that you just heard. Mm-hmm. And he's talking for 8 pages. It's that focused on the listening thing. And when you get that focused on listening, the honesty of the reaction is you don't have to act, and you're using the other actor. Half your performance is in the other actor if you just listen. Put the mirror down and just listen. It'll get you to do things that you didn't plan in your trailer before you came in, you know? So and that was right up my ball. And maybe in that way, Comey was perfect for me because he was a listener, and I've spent a career kind of doing it and building my whatever acting approach on it. So yeah, it was an easy fit. Hear every word they're saying.
Yeah. The part that seems to trip him up is when he's expected to speak in that conversation, right? That's when he sort of semi says, yes, I'll be loyal, but like, doesn't really, it's clear he would rather keep listening, right, than speak and respond.
Yeah, well, listening, and then it's how do I answer this? Yeah. And you're already making the decision that you've got to, oh God, what's the word? Yeah, but you got to write it all down, and this has to be on paper, and this has to go into a safe. This is bad.
I'd have to watch it again to pick up for sure, but I felt a wince, whether we see it or not on his face. I felt a wince when he, has to respond and tries just to figure a way to just get out of the conversation. And
it's the wince comes from hearing that voice inside you go, oh shit, are you, whatever thought you have in there causes the external, on a great day.
Mm-hmm. You talked about Brandon Gleason is Donald Trump, and of course, he's the other critical part of this. We don't see him as the audience really until the second half of the story. When did you see him? When did you see what he was doing? Was it on set? Did you see rehearsal? Did you rehearse with him? Or when did you first see what he was doing with Trump, a character who I would say is all ornaments, right? Like that Donald Trump in real life is, there's a lot. There's a lot going on. I don't know if he's even ornamented as much as a box of ornaments just sitting there in a jumble.
Lights that keep flashing, red, white, blue.
Yeah.
I'd been shooting for 2 months,
Mm-hmm.
and this was the third month, the start of the third month, when Brendan was available and could come over and would work for the 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So I was okay. I knew we had a COMEY. We had done enough of those big scenes that are in it that everyone, you know, was relieved, as I was, and said we have a COMEY. We needed an Obama. We needed a really good Obama. I mean, you know that Holly Hunter's going to come through. Michael Kelly's going to come through. Those are, I mean, in your world of will we pull this off? Those are givens. But we need a great Obama, and we got this great kid, Kingsley. I mean, he just came in and just like, I thought, killed it.
He's great.
But we got to have a Trump, especially on this. You got to have a Trump. And I didn't know what Brendan was going to do. I mean, I was thrilled when he said yes, and then we started shooting. And then next thing I know, tomorrow morning, you and Brendan are going to work together. You're going to shoot the loyalty scene. That's your first scene together. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, okay. And you meet him in the makeup trailer that morning. Mm. And he's putting his hair on. I'm putting we met putting our hair on. And then there's no rehearsal and there's no running of lines. I mean, I would have had he wanted to, and I was thrilled that he didn't. Mm-hmm. Because now it's even more of a high wire act. And we're all trying to make it look like it's happening for the first time. Mm-hmm. And if you've ever worked with Clint Eastwood, it happens for the first time, which is also usually the only time. He does one take and we're moving. That camera's moving. Mm-hmm. So I kind of, and that kind of, that it's happening right in front of the camera right now, and we're both prepared and we pulled it off, and it was honest and great. Believe it, grab it, print it, moving. I get that. I kind of liked that. So when we have actors like Brendan Gleeson who are also into that, I don't see him until we walk to the set, and then they position us for the loyalty dinner, and they run the entrance. We did the entrance, and then we sat down and they did the wides of the big long 8 pages, and that was the first time I heard him. It was just thrilling.
Yeah,
it's great. You have to listen. It's wonderful.
He played it with a lot of restraint too. I think that's what made it work for me as a
yeah. He really and that was the hair was just enough on Comey and on Trump. It didn't go overboard on the whole appearance. Mm-hmm. And it, Comey said something. He goes, you don't. And Billy knew this, and Brendan knew this, and that's what one of the things Brendan brought was. Jim Comey said, unless you're sitting 3 feet away from Trump by yourself in a room, you don't understand that there's a menace there, mm-hmm. a darkness behind all of this, whether it's soulless, whether it's all the things that, you read that he is. But there's a darkness there. The menace was the word that Jim used. And Brendan, that's what Brendan leaned on. Whatever his version of that was, it was down in there. And so when he looks up and he drills you with, I need loyalty, mm-hmm. You get Brendan Gleeson to do things like that.
That's the Faustian contract, right? Are you going to sign or are you not? And
yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's whatever you want to call them, but it's your date with the devil.
Hmm. And Jim Comey was on set that day too, which I think adds another level of.
Yeah, it did. I mean, I knew eventually I knew he was going to come, and I had not met him. I didn't go to his house and watch him eat dinner and do all that. I didn't. There's kind of a respect for how much do you want me in there, and I think it was enough to get Jim to say yes to the movie. It took some doing by the
Mhm.
producers. He initially didn't want to go through this again. He didn't want to put his family through this again. So I was 2 months in. We were shooting a loyalty dinner. I knew he was coming that day, but my bigger deal is Trump, is Brendan's doing all the heavy lifting that day. He never shuts up. Comey gets some words in edgewise, but it's a big day for Brendan, and I want him to be great.
Mhm.
We got to have a great Trump, and it's the actor, it's the role, and then you bang them together and cross your fingers. And so my focus was there, and we had already shot 2 months,
Mhm.
so it's not like and I knew that we were going in a way that was faithful to the book, that showed Jim in a good light, in that he believed in the rule of law and what is right, and he didn't do things for his own selfish benefit. He was doing it to protect the integrity of the FBI. And so I knew we were playing all that and had shot all that, so he's not going to be unhappy with that.
Yeah.
So I felt pretty good. But he did come around the corner, and there he is. We had shot 2 wides of the 8 pages. And then Billy said, "I want you to meet somebody," and there he is.
Mm.
And it's I can't imagine. I can't imagine going to a set of a movie that they're shooting something that happened in my life
Mm.
that had torn me and my family, up. They're still together, of course, but I can't imagine. So it was more about, I hope he's okay with this.
Yeah.
I hope he's can live with the decision, more so than, gee, did you like me?
Right.
You know?
Right. Well, another scene between two characters in the film that I thought was so powerful, in addition to the loyalty dinner, is the sequence in the kitchen right before the election with Jennifer Ely, who plays Patrice Comey, his wife. Um, uh, can you talk about that scene of working with her? And that's the moment where she, I don't want to misquote the line, but says, "You're about to help elect the kind of person that you've been working your whole life to keep out of power, to stop from hurting people."
Yeah, it was pretty. She had him cornered.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just good drama.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Jennifer's. I'd worked with her on Looming Tower, and when Billy said Jennifer Ely, I said, "Hire her, please."
Yeah.
So I was really glad when it was her. Yeah, that's one of the things I said to Billy when he came to me at Mockingbird, came backstage and said, "I want you to play Comey." I said, "Will Showtime pay for really good actors around me? Will they pay?
Mm-hmm.
Will they go pay those? Because then I'm interested."
Mm-hmm.
And Jennifer, Brendan, Holly, again, specifically to Jennifer, she more than fit that bill. And it's, again, it's tennis. Acting is tennis, verbal tennis, emotional tennis. And we have somebody giving it to you like Jennifer. Half your job is done.
Mm-hmm.
Take it, receive it, pitch, catch, get it, throw it back. She will catch it, and she will throw it back even harder. That's what you're trying to create every time they say action. And she hits Comey right between the eyes with that.
Yeah.
And he has to, and he could have said, "You're right. You're right. I'll do it differently." But he doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't.
It was important to Billy Ray that this film come out before the election, and Was that important to you as well? Was that a reason for making it, that this was a story that might inform people about something that they could have read about in the book, or they could have read about in newspapers? But I know one of the reasons Comey agreed to make the film was that he wanted a much bigger audience for this story. So coming up before the election, was that significant to you as one of the people who helped create this film?
Yeah, it was what was promised.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the faults of the country and the voting electorate in 2016 was that we either weren't paying attention, weren't taking it seriously enough, or just simply weren't informed.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt that the Comey rule coming out before the election would give people more information than they had 4 years prior. 4 years ago, Jim Comey was the asshole who won the election for Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And if you deep dive into that, which is what the show does, you may not, love him at the end, but you at least understand more. You have more information. It wasn't that simple.
No.
It was rocking a hard place and trying to stay ahead of Rudy Giuliani and WikiLeaks. And he's not the one who reopened the investigation in October. Should have been private. That should have been a letter to the Gang of Eight, and it should have stayed there like most investigations do. Mm-hmm. But Jason Chaffetz leaked it. So Jason Chaffetz let everybody know that the investigation was reopened, not Jim Comey, but whatever. Mm-hmm. And then, so that was let's know more than we did 4 years ago. And Comey rule, I think, fits that bill. It also plays as a thriller where you know the ending. Mm-hmm. And the ending is really only the end of the first chapter of this book called The Trump Presidency. That's what hits you square in the head, and why it's important that before America votes, that they get hit in the head by this first chapter of something that happened 4 years ago. So for all those reasons, I thought it was important.
I have to disagree, though, about knowing the ending. I feel like the ending was what happened in the election. It leaves it, those shots of the buildings where you're on the street, and it cuts, refers back to that line of, look at these buildings, they're still going to be standing here. These are our institutions. Do you think the movie plays differently now that the election has passed and that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have won? Does it feel different to watch it now, do you think?
He's not in there yet, is he?
No, that's true.
Regarding the end, I think I agree with you on that. The institutions, will they hold? And so, yeah, will they hold? Second is, it's only a first chapter. The ending hasn't been written yet, really, mm-hmm. for the Trump presidency and what went down that affected Jim Comey's life. So,
yeah, we'll see. Well, we'll get the ending soon.
Yeah, well, I hope.
Jeff, thank you so much for being with us and talking about the role. It was a real pleasure chatting with you.
Good. I love talking to actors through you, Anthony. Thank you.
My pleasure. On behalf of the SAG-AFTRA Foundation, we want to thank you for joining us and for sharing your experience and the process in your craft. And thank you all for watching. Take care, everyone. Be safe.